So what can agents start doing now to be able to be ready for this and start to get in a place that they're prepared, right? I know I had a conversation yesterday. I do a lot more in the commercial space. I do a lot of residential. I do in a lot of commercial space. So in commercial space, this is pretty common, right? You have to negotiate your commissions on the regular between both parties. You talk numbers and money all the time. So it's definitely something I think all agents have to get really comfortable understanding the numbers and repercussions. Now, there's a difference between staying in your lane and understanding, right? And so making sure that you're checking in with your lenders. What does this look like when you're dealing with loans that don't allow the party, the buyer, to pay commission? What are they looking to put into place? What loans does this affect? You should really know all your different loan products for your own knowledge when you write your contract. And how does that look to be able to protect your client? Your client should be having those conversations with a lender, but you need to know what you're looking at too. And making sure you truly understand your buyer agency agreements.
Yeah.
And where you need to go to do that.
Yeah, because I think there's already this perception out there with VA loans and FHA loans. Again, you're not a lender, I'm not a lender, but we understand the basics of this, right? There's already this perception that those are harder loans. Now, really, VA loan, I mean, most lenders will tell you this. It's one of the best loans that you can possibly have, and it's a great loan for our veterans who deserve every advantage they can get. But the perception, even among agents, and the perception among sellers is that that's a hard loan. If it's a VA loan and your house isn't perfect, now you're going to add this other layer on top of it of because you cannot, you reference this, but you cannot pay a buyer agency commission on a VA loan. The buyer can't, right?
Yeah.
And I believe the same thing is true FHA, right? Which is also considered to be a harder loan because the appraisal. I mean, really, we're talking about peeling paint. We're talking about handrails. That's what's harder about it. Okay, but that's the perception. So you're adding this new layer of, well, how am I going to get paid on top of, oh, this is a harder loan. So here's what I foresee happening, how quickly this happens or not. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a false prophet on this. But here's what I foresee happening is more agents shying away from working with VA buyers, more agents shying away working with FHA buyers, those lower income first time home buyers, because it's going to be harder for me and I'm not going to make as much. When we already have a problem with minorities getting a fair shake in housing, we already have a problem with lower income people getting a fair shake in housing, on top of just being able to find the freaking houses. And it's going to push more people out of the market. And then you add the buying power issue on top of it.
Yeah.
Because even if the rules change and that VA buyer now can pay a commission, well, it was a zero down loan. Part of the benefit is they didn't have to bring any money. Now all of a sudden they got to come up with 10 apples, 20 apples, 30 apples. How many apples do you feel like you need? Where are they going to get that? And that's really sad to me.
And you want another point just came into place too that just popped in my head about this, that what happens if you don't charge the same amount to every buyer?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's going to be a whole other component in terms of, when you get into fair housing rules and HUD and all this type of stuff, because let's say, you offer something different to every person, but you have to keep it consistent. So what's that going to look like, when you're trying to help somebody out or not? So there's definitely a lot to unpack. I think the biggest takeaway is, make sure you're talking to your broker. Make sure you understand how they want things to be handled. Make sure you're watching your own board. And really, this is an everybody issue. So you can't just say, okay, I'll just wait until it settles. You need to be watching, listening, reading, and keeping up, because that's part of your fiduciary duty to your clients to make sure. Make sure you know your scripts. That's definitely something that we can help you with, that you could always reach out to us about, and we'll help you script around the way to have these conversations, and just really making sure that you understand and making sure you're meeting with your partners. Are you meeting with your lenders and asking for how they're going to also help support in talking to clients about this?
So there are definitely things that agents can be doing right now. Number one, again, to recap, know your buyer agency agreement. And figure out what that is. I know some agents who said, I've never even seen a buyer agency agreement. Well, you're going to need to change that. You're going to need to change it right away. Number two, talk with your broker, talk with your company, your manager, whoever it is that you've got, that you talk to, find out what's the guidance right now that you want us to follow. What do we need to be doing? I love that you said talk to the lenders as well. Find out what the options are, find out how these things work. Because again, you can't have an intelligent conversation with a client if you don't know that, VA loans, for instance, currently they can't pay your commission.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and then the scripting aspect, and there are great scripts out there. There are great objection handlers on how you essentially, it comes down to this: present your value. But the big thing with that is not just the scripts, it's understanding what your value is. Because a lot of agents can't articulate, here's what I bring to the table for however many apples you're going to give me to represent you, Mr. Buyer. And if that's the case, a lot of people will lose out on business if the buyer has to choose, this agent is going to represent me and they're going to do it for 10 apples, but you want 40 apples. And yet you're both going to send me houses, open doors, and write a contract. It's so much more than that. So know your value proposition and be able to articulate that on top of the objection handler scripts. And again, working with your company, we are happy to help you with that. Whatever it is, just do it. Yeah. Because this issue is not going away and it's going to get more complicated.
Absolutely. Absolutely.